Okay, so we're going to talk about the early Monday night game that got moved up, the Broncos versus the Patriots. So I have a weird theory. I have no idea whether there's any truth to this at all, so don't take it as gospel for fantasy purposes. But I feel like the Patriots are trying to prolong this so that way they have a chance of getting Cam back. Cam has been asymptomatic after testing positive for COVID last week, and if he ends up going, is it 10 days without showing any symptoms, then he can actually be taken off. So I think the Patriots are hoping that maybe Cam can become active. But again, that's just my speculation at this point. You have to expect that this is going to be Jarrett Stidham versus Brett Ripien. So not a game that you're really going to want to be starting any fantasy players in this one. And don't really need to take the risk anyway at that point because of the fact that this game could technically be canceled if someone else tests positive. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. The Vegas lines were frozen when we checked earlier, so there's no over-under at this point. The Patriots are favored to win by 8. That's the only thing that we have. Patriots have actually not been as good against the receivers as they were previously. They have been good at stopping the run, whereas the Broncos have also been really good at stopping the run and have been a salve for wide receivers. They're giving up the 5th most points to receivers and 8th most points to quarterbacks. But it really doesn't matter because if it's Jarrett Stidham, I don't trust anyone here. Now, again, if Cam Newton does miraculously play, then I'm playing Cam, I'm playing Edelman, I'm playing White like I normally would. But assuming he doesn't play, I feel like the only Patriot I'm even halfway comfortable with starting is Julian Edelman, even though I guess you could talk me into playing Damien Harris or James White. Like, if you're hurting at running back, you're probably having to play those guys anyway. I don't really know what this is going to look like. The Broncos have a good run defense. Maybe James White ends up being the better option there because he's used primarily out of the passing game, whereas Damien Harris didn't see any targets last week, but he was used heavily on the ground, so maybe he's the worst play this week. It's just a mess in New England right now. Hopefully they get Cam back soon, but definitely playing the Patriots defense here. We saw Brett Ripien throw 3 interceptions last week. I believe it was 3 interceptions. I know at least one of those was for a pick 6, so see if the Patriots can do that again, even without Stephon Gilmore. They're still pretty strong all around. The other guys here, N'Keal Harry, Damire Byrd. Hopefully you don't have to play either of those guys, but I guess N'Keal Harry did get the touchdown last week, so if you're chasing touchdowns, you can go that route. I'm just not going to recommend doing that. On the Broncos side, I think you can still start Melvin Gordon. He's used enough in the passing game as well, and he was able to put up a really good fantasy performance last week, and then Jeudy just looked really good. So I'm not going to chase the points with Tim Patrick here going against the Patriots defense. I just don't know how many points are going to be scored in this one. I imagine that this is going to be a really low-scoring game where you're probably not going to be too happy with any of the fantasy assets that you're putting out there. So probably going to try to avoid as many players in this game as physically possible. I have the Patriots winning this one 17-10. So Broncos covering the spread, but a really low-scoring affair where you're not very happy with any of the fantasy output. Again, this is assuming Cam does not play.